All right, we're on.
All right, I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Warrenton, Missouri Planning and Zoning Commission for Thursday, March 7th, 2024. I believe we'll have probably an extended meeting tonight. There are a lot of items on the agenda, including 4 public hearings. And I'd like to, for the sake of expediency, remind everyone that for our public hearings, everyone that wishes to speak is invited to do so. They are limited to 5 minutes, I believe, for their comment time. During that time, we would like to operate according to regular business meeting order, so you'll be able to state whatever opinions you have for or against any particular issue. Mr. Burks, of course, will present the basic information for those items, and the requesters will also have some time to speak. We will, however, hold our discussion for each of those items once they come up on the regular agenda item in the business meeting itself. So that's the the regular business meeting format that we used to adhere to, and we're going to try to be more mindful of that to keep the meetings on track. So having said that, our first public hearing is the amendment to section 405-255 for accessory building or structure, ADM 134. And Mr. Burks, please.
As a preliminary matter for this public hearing, I will ask the publication notice published in the Warren County Record be made part of the record by reference. The city comprehensive plan and the city ordinance be made part of the record by reference, and the planning and zoning officer report being made part of the record by reference. This is an approval request for amendment to section 405-255 accessory buildings or structures, ADM 134. The shipping containers was added to this amendment. This is an amendment that came up a couple months ago, and we revised some of the language in the ordinance. So the portable storage containers designed and manufactured according to specifications from international standard organizations, ISO, as a standard reusable vessel intended to be loaded on a truck, rail car, or ship, used primarily for shipping goods. The terms shipping containers includes, but not limited to, cargo containers, railroad cars, semi-truck trailers, trucks, truck vans, converted mobile homes, and other enclosed type trailers, recreational vehicles, bus bodies, and similar fabrication items and structures. So, and on this, the public hearing notice was posted in the Warren County Record on February 15th of 2024. Do you have any questions on that one?
We will, if we have any, we can hold those until the regular agenda section of the meeting. So thank you, Mr. Burks.
Okay.
At this time, anyone who might have any comments for or against this amendment may come forward at this time. Step up to the microphone, state your name. All right, seeing no further comments, we will close that public hearing and move on to our second public hearing of the evening, which is Parkview Estates Planned Unit Development PUD 002. And Mr. Burks, please bring us up to speed there.
And as a preliminary matter for this public hearing, I will ask that the publication notice published in Warren County Record be made part of the record by reference, the city comprehensive plan and the city ordinance be made part of the record by reference, and the planning and zoning officer report be made part of the record by reference. This is Park Estates Townhomes, PUD 002. Ed Schmeltz has applied for a planned unit development for a 6.6 acre parcel of land on the west side of Highway 47, north of Warrior Avenue. The proposed PUD would include 19 buildings containing 64 units across 6.6 acres. The proposal density is well below the maximum residential density allowed for the PUD. Is requested to allow various size townhomes within one development. The comprehensive plan, the future land use plan designate the subject site as mixed use. Staff analysis, the staff has reviewed the proposed PUD plan unit development and found the proposal consistent with Chapter 405 of the zoning regulation of Warren Municipal Code. Further, the proposed design furthers the goal of the comprehensive plan. Couple of notes on that All streets and parking areas internal to the site shall be private. Before construction, submit a stormwater management plan, and before construction, submit the required park and open space funds. Ed's here, the applicant, and Chris, the engineer's here, has a presentation for this project.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Burks. Gentlemen, would you like to present at this time, or?
Yes, thank you. Good evening. My name is Chris Wolf with Wonder Lake Surveying and Engineering. I'm here with the developer, Ed Schmelz, ELS Properties. I do have a quick PowerPoint that I'd like to go through, and then you can, if you get any questions, you can stop me along the way. Right. Why we're here is for Parkview Estates. It's a planned unit development in the city of Warrenton. We have to provide you guys with a PUD in order to do multifamily. That's why we're here to ask for approval of the PUD. As far as okay, there we go. All right, so this is a 64-unit multifamily residential development. It consists of townhomes and duplexes, 36 townhome units and 28 duplex units. They're basically a mix of 2-bedroom and 3-bedroom. The townhomes are going to be the 2-bedroom, 1.5 bath. The duplexes are going to be 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath on 6.68 acres. So this is lot 6 in the Bruni Business Park. I'll give you a better view of where that's at. If you guys are familiar with the new gas station there, it's basically the lot behind that between the gas station and the city park. So here on the zoning map, it's currently zone C3, same as the
Talking microphone.
okay. The zoning map C3 is what this property is currently zoned, same as the property to the east, which is the gas station, and to the north, the single-family homes and the other developments to the north are all commercial zoning, C3 zoning, and then we have the city park to the west. So on the site plan here, the orange and blue units are the duplex units, all right? And then the pink units are the townhomes. So we put the townhomes within the middle of the development and the duplexes are surrounding. So we have one access point off of Warrior Avenue there. And then basically our street layout is such that we tie into the existing private road that's there right now. With the townhomes in the middle and the duplexes around the outside to kind of buffer the existing areas that are there. This is an aerial photo with the gas station showing you what the property looks like. The park is to the west in this photo here, and the gas station to the east. This is our proposed development layout on the existing tract, showing how we're buffering Warrior with the duplexes, and the residential that's already to the north is buffered by the duplex layout with the townhomes in the middle. So one thing that's nice about our current development is, if you can see up there in the top of the screen, up in the north corner, the new ELS office and maintenance buildings are up there. So it's very close to this facility. This is a photo of the new facility there. So in relationship to the new development PUD, Ed's ELS office here in Warrenton is very close in proximity. Ever any issues, they're right there. Another one of basically amenities that's not on our site, but it's on city property that touches up against us, is the Warrenton Pool Park. And basically using the Warrenton amenities to our advantage with this development is, some of the city utilities or amenities here are being underutilized. So what we're trying to do in our development is put in the infrastructure in the buildings so that the users can use the city park as one of the amenities. What also we're putting forward is our own dog park. I'll go back to the previous slide. You can kind of see the triangular shaped piece there in the middle, closer to the gas station. That is a small dog park that we are putting in. But one of the other things that we're adding is a access walking trail from our development directly to Pool Park. So we will provide the residents of this development access right into Pool Park. I know on the comprehensive plan for Pool Park, there's going to be a future walking trail around the lake. We're basically going to try to tie into that to have people be able to use the city amenities. There's also a sidewalk that's already constructed along Warrior Avenue. So people will be able to access our main drive down to that sidewalk and access the city park through the sidewalks that are already there for the city and our proposed sidewalks. So it works out very well with the big city park that's already there, the existing lake, the pool facility, and there is a dog park in the city property. We are going to have a smaller dog park on our property, but most of the residents will have access to the city park through a walking trail and a sidewalk. So, example of a townhome unit. This is one of the townhomes that currently exists Creekside, which is a different development that was done by the same developer in Warrenton. Townhome development. This is an 8-unit townhome. We do have a couple 8-unit townhomes in our development and a couple 6-unit townhomes. This is a 2-car duplex. So we will have 18 duplex units that are 2-car. And then this is the other duplex that we showed on the plans as the blue duplex. We have 10 of those and they're 1-car garages. Some of the other projects that the developers previously completed is Orange Blossom Estates here in Warrenton, and then Creekside Apartments here in Warrenton. And it basically, in conclusion, 64 units on 6.68 acres. The amenities, basically some of the amenities are we have our own dog park, but other than that, most of the amenities are off-site. They're on the city property, the city pool, the city dog park, the city lake site is going to be used by these residents. And then the office and the maintenance facility of ELS is right down the road in close vicinity. This site is 55% green space. Basically, being that this is currently zoned C3, right now what you could put on there is up to 90% impervious per Warrenton code. So by changing this from commercial zoning to this PUD, it's going to be less dense, it's going to be less impervious. So there's more green space. Basically, if you count our roofs, our parking spaces, our sidewalks, we're 45% impervious, which the code for commercial use would allow up to 90% impervious. So the existing detention basin that is to the north is what this facility is going to use for the most part. When this was originally designed to lay out Brittany Business Park, part of the stormwater goes to the north to the existing basin, and part of it was designed to actually go into the city lake that it currently exists to try to keep that full. So that was the drainage area path that was followed at that time, and that's what we're going to try to do. We'll send some of the stormwater to the north, and we'll send some of it to the east into the existing lake to maintain the original design that was done for Bruni Business Park. But with that being said, Business Park was designed for commercial use, and by us using it as a residential use, we should be cutting down on the design of the impervious area, allowing more water to naturally infiltrate into the ground instead of overland flow. That's all I got. If you guys have any questions?
So we'll save those for the agenda portion of the meeting. Thank you, Mr. Wolf.
Thank you.
We now invite anyone else that might have comment on this issue to step forward and make your comments. And it would appear we do not have any additional comments on that item, so we'll close that public hearing. Move on to our third public hearing, which is On the Rocks Bar and Hookah Lounge, conditional use permit and site plan, CUP 94 and SP 168. And Mr. Burks will get us up to speed there.
As a preliminary matter for this public hearing, I'll ask that the publication notice published in the Warren County Record be made part of the record by reference, the city comprehensive plan and the city ordinance be made part of the record by reference, and the planning and zoning officer report be made part of the record by reference. The project summary, Jesse Dittwagner and James Ortiz has submitted an application for a conditional use permit and a site plan for a building located on the south side of East Boonslick Road and east of South Market Street at 108 East Boonslick. The building is currently zoned C2 General Commercial. Applicants have proposed a bar and grill hookah lounge at the location. The restaurant would be a permitted use and in the C2 General Commercial District defines bar, taverns, and nightclubs as a conditional use in Appendix A. The site is currently a vacant building and was used prior as a bar. As opposed, the applicant would construct a restaurant, bar, and grill with a hookah lounge at the site, and the use are consistent with the plan. The codes and conditional use and site plan have been met. Staff has reviewed the conditional use permit and the site plan and found the proposal is consistent with Chapter 410 subdivision regulations of the Warren Municipal Code. All items and notices have been provided and completed as required by state and local laws. The applicants are here tonight to answer any questions on this project.
All right, thank you, Mr. Burks. Would either of you two gentlemen like to make any comments on your application?
Hello, I'm James Ortiz. I work for the Warren County Shelter Workshop, currently under Jamie Washburn. We're trying to bring On the Rocks Bar and Grill, Hookah Lounge to downtown Main Street. I know Main Street during the day is busy and that kind of stuff. We're trying to bring something more to the night, and plus also trying to bring a younger crowd somewhere to relax and enjoy basically the nightlife. Grill-wise, I'm trying to bring Cuban food back to Warrenton. I was part of Papa's Cuban Cafe back when it was here. That's about it. I don't have a big thing like they did before. But if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to ask.
Very good.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Ortiz. Do we have any other individuals here that are interested in making comment on this public hearing? All right. Seeing no additional comments, we'll close that public hearing and move on to our final site plan of the evening, which is the Hampton Inn Site Plan SP 169. And Mr. Burks, please proceed.
As a preliminary matter for this public hearing, I will ask that the publication notice published in Warren County Record be made part of the record by reference, the city comprehensive plan and the city ordinance be made part of the record by reference, and the planning and zoning officer report be made part of the record by reference. This is Hampton Inn Site Plan 169. Bart Carmen of Lewis & Beatty, surveying and engineer, on behalf of SAMP Hospitality LLC, requests the review and approval for a proposed site plan to build a 14,769-foot Hampton Inn on the 2-acre parcel of land west of Market Street and south side of Veterans Memorial Parkway. The site plan shows the construction of an 80-room hotel building and associated improvements to the site. The subject site is Zone C3 Highway Commercial District and is surrounded by properties of the same zoning classification. Comprehensive plan notes that the parcel size within the commercial corridor area typically requires a site between 3 and 30 acres, and this site will be likely located at the intersection of arterial streets. Staff has reviewed the proposed site plan, and it's consistent with the Chapter 405, Regulations of the Warrenton Municipal Code. All items and notices have been provided and completed as required by state and local law. Bort Corman is here for the engineer to answer any questions on this.
Thank you, Mr. Burks. Mr. Corman, you're welcome to come forward.
Thank you. For the record, Bart Corman with Lewis and Beatty Surveyors and Engineers, 101 East Walton, Warrenton, Missouri. The hotels, they're at Veterans Memorial and Market Street, part of the Market Street Center development where the cinema was, I guess, so to speak, and now it's no longer a cinema, which, take back some history, that was a trailer park before the cinema came in. So it was a previously developed site, but we're proposing to put a 80-room hotel there on that corner lot. We also have the lot to the south under contract, so we will have some off-site parking on that lot, but we have that under contract to go with this plan to do so. We also have the indoor pool proposed with this, and real basic standard hotel with Hampton Inn, and we got to go through their procedure and approvals as well. And I'll answer any questions that anybody may have.
Thank you, Mr. Corman. All right. Anyone here to make any comments for or against the Hampton Inn site plan? All right. It would appear we have no further comments on that item, and so that then will conclude our final public hearing of the evening. We now move on to two easement vacate requests where we're seeking public comment. The first would be to vacate 5,764 square feet of road and utility easement on Lot 3 at Market Street Center. I believe that's actually part of the Hampton Inn site plan request. And Mr. Burks, would you please inform us on this?
You're correct, it is part of the Hampton Inn. Bart Corman of Lewis and Beatty Surveying and Engineering on behalf of SAMP Hospitality LLC would like to request a vacate of the 5,760 square foot road and utility easement on Lot 3 of Market Street Center. According to the planner, the record plat, Book D, page 29 of the Warren County Record. The road and utility easement is located on the southern part of Lot 3, and the applicant is requesting to remove to make room for the proposed Hampton Inn at the location. And there's an attachment that shows the area that's requested to be vacated.
Good. And Mr. Corman, you have anything to add there?
No, other than it's necessary for this layout for us to do it. That there's a big stormwater pipe that goes through there, and we're going to have to reroute that through our project. But for us to fit the pool and the Hampton Inn standard design, we need this vacated. But we will supply a route for that stormwater in a different manner.
All right, very good. And does anyone here present have any other comments regarding that request to vacate? All right, we'll close those public comments and move on to the request to vacate 5 feet of a 15-foot utility easement for Lot 110 in Pinckney Manor. Mr. Burks?
Okay, Tim Manzi, a president/owner of TS Manzi Construction, is requesting to vacate the vacate of the easement vacation exhibit on Lot 110 of Pinckney Manor, a subdivision being situated in Section 27, Township 47 North, Range 2 West of the 5th Principal Meridian, Warren County, Missouri. There's a 15-foot easement that runs on the back side of the lot. The lot's a triangle. He would like to vacate 5 feet of that 15-foot easement so he could build a Blake home, which is the same as the other lots on the other lots that have been built down there. So, do you have any questions on that one?
I think we're okay there. Then any comments or questions? Other individuals to speak on that request? All right, we will close those public comments and move to our Planning and zoning agenda for the evening. The first order of business will be review of the minutes from the February 1st, 2024 Planning and Zoning meeting. All of you have seen those, so do we
Move to
have-
accept minutes as presented.
Second.
we have a motion by Mr. Cooper and a second by Mr. Cornell to approve the minutes as presented. And are there any other questions, comments, corrections? All right, we will call for a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Cullum?
Yes.
Mr. Barton is absent. Mr. Durbin is absent. Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. Dieterman?
Yes.
Mr. Cornell?
Yes.
Mrs. Cullum is absent. Ms. Kelly Madden?
Yes.
Mr. Costello?
Yes?
And we currently have one vacancy.
All right, that motion to approve carries by a vote of 6-0 with 3 absent and 1 vacancy. Next item on the agenda is the consideration of amendment to section 405.255 for accessory building or structure, ADM 134. Mr. Burks described that earlier. So we'll open the floor to discussion and questions for that item. This is kind of a carry-on from our previous conversation, related primarily to storage containers, correct?
Correct. That's correct.
How would this apply to any existing railroad cars, semi-truck trailers that are already in place? Would that have to come into compliance?
No, those would be able to exist as non-conforming uses.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the amendment discussing with shipping containers.
Second it.
All right, we have a motion by Mr. Cullum and a second by Mrs. Madden to recommend approval of amendment to section 405.255. Any other questions or comments? And roll call vote, please.
Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. Dieterman?
Yes.
Mr. Cornell?
Yes.
Ms. Madden? Yes. Mr. Costello?
Yes.
Mr. Cullum?
Yes.
All right, that motion carries by a vote of 6-0 with 3 absent and 1 vacancy. And I believe the Board of Aldermen will entertain this then on March 19th. Is that correct?
I believe so.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So we will now move on to agenda item 3, which is the Parkview Estates Planned Unit Development PUD 002. And we've seen the presentation now, so this is the time for your comments and questions on this request.
I'll let Mr. Schmelz speak first.
I'm sorry, Ed Schmelz, EOS Properties, and I'm here to answer any questions or concerns.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Schmelz.
So because this project is going to be a neighbor to the subdivision where I live, I have...
Cornell? If I
Yes.
could get you to speak into the microphone?
Sure can. Boy, I've never been asked to speak up before. Usually shut up. I have proactively sought some feedback from my neighbors. Also had an opportunity to discuss with some of the neighbors in the subdivision that is behind Compass Health and ELS Properties, Forest Haven, something along those lines. Was actually invited to a Facebook community group there and got some feedback. There are definitely some concerns that have been expressed within my neighborhood. We already have a trespassing issue on our lake, which will butt up to this, so there's definitely a concern for that. I also had a concern about converting some commercial property in the city over to residential, or using commercial property as residential. In the Forest Ridge subdivision, they were pretty passionate about the fact that there's a legitimate concern about cut-through traffic that winds through the park and comes out through their subdivision. That's something that I expressed concern about when we put the fueler in. I don't know if that has increased the issue, but it is an issue for them. I've driven through there. The way that was developed, small setbacks, there's a lot of on-street parking there. Then if you add people cutting through the park. So one of the things that I would like to see, and this has nothing necessarily to do with this proposal, but I would like to see if we could address that, maybe by closing down the gate and stopping vehicle access to Pool Park through the Forest Ridge subdivision. Eliminating that cut through would maybe alleviate some of those concerns. So those are all my comments for right now. I'll probably have some questions coming up.
Well, I guess to answer the first one, I would be shocked if anyone from our subdivision would ever cut through Forest Ridge. You know, for that to happen, that individual would have to bypass the accessibility of a streetlight in order to use a gravel road to go down and around and cut through a subdivision, like you stated, with their narrow streets.
Right.
You know, it's not like it's not a interstate where they can go through there 60 miles an hour, right? I mean, it's narrow streets. You know, people are parking on the side of the road occasionally. So I would be absolutely shocked if anybody would use the city park to cut through there. So, and normal traffic would be, you know, most people would come in off Warrior, either directly into the site or come into the existing private street, which is just west of the fueler, to get to our site. I mean, even when the street that runs north and south right now that's behind the fueler, I mean, eventually that's obviously, it's stubbed to the north. It's going to go through, right?
Right.
But I would still think most people are going to use the stoplight access. It's just it's the quickest in and out. So that's how I would answer that question. I don't think that we're going to have a big effect on their traffic within the subdivision. As far as the zoning, I mean, yes, we are taking a commercial zoning, using it as residential. I'm not certain of the validity of a commercial use going in there at any point, and that's up for debate, obviously. But we just see this as a natural progression of single family, light multifamily, and then to commercial. So that was kind of our goal here.
I do appreciate whether it was intentional or just the way the design fell. The result is that you buffer the actual apartment buildings with the duplexes. And the duplexes look very similar to the homes the two-story homes that are in Forest Ridge. So I appreciate that.
Exactly, and it was very intentional. You know, we didn't want to put a high-density building next to the single families. We wanted to buffer the entire perimeter of the property with the lower density duplexes, which do have, I mean, it's hard to tell on this, but they do have 30 feet in between them. So they are spaced out fairly well. We did try to make them similar in appearance to the existing homes that are there. And then we did have to have to up the density a little bit though. So we tried to put that in the middle and hope it would be kind of hidden, because everything in here is 2-story. So.
All right. Thank you for that. I would like to ask, and I think this is probably more directed for city staff and city council, there's a statement regarding the easements and covenants, ownership statement and maintenance plan. And so since this development as a PUD is going to be the responsibility of Mr. Schmelz for as long as he were to own it, and it's a conditional use permit, so we possibly have some conditions, including those that the staff has already pointed out. Do the conditions of the easements, covenants, and the ownership statement and the requirement for maintenance on site to be done by the owner, do they carry forward to future ownership in the event of a sale?
So the new PUD ordinance that we adopted, the conditional use is not part of it. It's now a rezone and a
Okay.
PUD. So there's, the conditional use part has been removed.
Okay?
So all of the property on there has to be sold as one piece. It can't be divided up and sold as a PUD. So all that would be covered under one owner.
Okay. And really, I guess the point of my question is, obviously, things like snow removal and things of that nature are the responsibility of the owner and not the city crews.
That's correct.
Similarly, maintenance and potential future overlays or other repairs on the roads go with the ownership and are not the responsibility of city. I just wanted to verify if in the event of a sale that those conditions continue forward, I'm assuming unless the city decides to take over the streets at some point in the future.
Yes, and as a PUD, everything would stay private.
Okay. That's just a clarification I was looking for.
Probably a question for the attorney, but we do, I'm sure you've looked at our restrictions for the subdivision, which talks about our lawn maintenance, our power washing and all that. That is recorded also as subdivision restrictions. I would think that would stay with the subdivision in the event of a sale or something else.
Generally, that is the case, yes.
Right.
Okay.
Just want to make sure that we wouldn't have a situation 15 or 20 years down the road where the occupants may not have as conscientious of ownership and the property falls into maybe less than its ideal condition, that there's a means to address that. So that was my concern. What other questions or comments do we have? Then I'll wait to see if we have a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the PUD for Parkview Estates as displayed and discussed.
Second.
All right, that motion is made by Mr. Cullum. We'll give the second to Mr. Detterman. And now, any further comments or questions? All right, roll call vote.
Mr. Detterman?
Yes.
Mr. Cornell?
Yes.
Mrs. Madden?
Yes.
Mr. Costello?
Yes.
Mr. Cullum?
Yes.
Mr. Cooper?
Yes. Yes.
All right, so that item passes by a vote of 6-0 with 3 absent and 1 vacancy. And we'll now move on to our Board of Aldermen at their March 19th meeting for final approval. We'll move on now to item number 4, the On the Rocks Bar and Hookah Lounge conditional use and site plan. So we've had the preliminary description from Mr. Burks and met our applicant. What are your thoughts and questions on this item?
So for the conditional use, it was just required because of what it's going to be, correct?
Because of the bar.
Because of the bar?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions?
Go ahead.
I had reviewed our Appendix A that details types of businesses and understand the restaurant, the bar. I don't find anything in our code that addresses or identifies an establishment that is a smoking establishment or a hookah lounge or anything like that. And, whether it's Mr. Burks or whether it's our city attorney, it seems like that's a somewhat of a different occupancy. It doesn't completely fit. It brings with it maybe different elements, and I'm just curious, how do we address that? I feel like our code should have some statement on that type of establishment.
So the conditional use permit, as Tim had explained, is for the bar itself. The restaurant is a permitted use, and generally the city code doesn't prohibit indoor smoking or anything like that, and so it's silent within the code, which is why it's tied to the bar as an accessory use almost.
but it's advertised as part of the attraction. Is my question is, that there are other establishments and communities in the surrounding area that are, known to be primarily a hookah lounge, and I don't know whether this establishment would be a bar and grill with hookah use allowed, or if it's, primarily a draw for hookah use. My observation is that those establishments do have oftentimes with them some possibly some unpleasant side effects, if you will. And, since our code doesn't address that, I kind of feel like we need to discuss and define that type of occupancy, because I do feel like it's different than just a typical bar grill exposure.
I would like to throw in that the hookahs that we're planning on using is not your traditional hookahs with the coals. It's going to be all electric. So I don't know if that makes a difference or not. We are worried about downtown and fires and stuff like that, so we wanted to eliminate any kind of coals whatsoever. We will allow smoking, of course, and stuff like that in the bar, but the hookahs themselves will be all electric. They have little carts and stuff like that.
Okay, thank you.
Can I ask a stupid question? What's a hookah?
It's been used for centuries. It's basically a big rig. It's got two lines that come out of it, and you basically just smoke it. Don't really inhale it. Some people do. It comes in different flavors, from apple to mango to pineapple. The way I can explain them is they're massive vapes. That's the best way I can kind of tell you.
I feel like it has different effects than a vape.
Yeah, they're not really nicotine based. There's no nicotine in them. They're just basically flavored water, I guess you could say. There's not really, I can't guarantee, I'm not a doctor or anything like that. I don't know what the benefits or non-benefits are. I do know people do enjoy them. I know they've been around for just as long as tobacco. I can't tell you the long-term effects. I don't know.
I have concerns, and bear with me if I don't say this very, I just, coming from a background of like Compass mental health kind of background, you did state that this was kind of a draw for the young people, right?
21 to 49.
I'm sorry?
21 to 49 is the age I'm trying to go for, or we are trying to go for.
Okay. Even still, I guess I kind of want to throw this out because I feel like it's on a different level. There's a difference to it than a bar grill, I'm not getting on my high horse, but I want everybody to consider what this could mean for young people. I don't know. I'm not a doctor either.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of young kids who have smoked hookah, and it's not just flavored water. I
don't know where they would smoke the hookah. The only place I know that offers it is Lava Lounge in Wentzville.
I'm not talking about right here in town.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. In my opinion, hookahs aren't very popular to the younger kids, not like vaping. Vaping is very popular. I have a high schooler who actually just got caught vaping. So I would be more concerned with that. Our establishment would be 21 and up to enter. So there would be no way young kids could go in there. It's just like Lava Lounge, we would ID at the door. And we have plans on the weekends, stuff like that, on the busier nights to have either an off-duty officer or security of some sort to stand at the door, also checking IDs and everything else. I understand wholeheartedly with the younger generation. I have kids myself, so I'm very big against smoking and all that, even though I'm a smoker myself. So I understand.
And then what would be the hours of?
So 11 a.m. to 2 a.m. is what we're pushing for. We would like to do something for lunch. The hookah thing, I guess would be all day if people wanted to come in and rent a rig and use it for 30 minutes to an hour, depending. But mostly for lunch and dinner during the week, and then on the weekends, Friday, Saturday specifically, would be what we would be pushing more for the nightlife, I guess you would say. So we're trying to base our hours the same as Lava Lounge. They're closed once a week, 1 day a week, and they're open till 2 a.m., but they open at 4 p.m. But I know with downtown, with the courthouse and the police and everything else, I know lunch is, a big thing for everybody. Something different, something new.
You guys may find it hard to believe, but I've actually been to a hookah lounge more than one. And based on my experience and based on your stated goal, I've found them to be more of a nightclub. And I think that's what you're trying to attract. While I appreciate the forethought of, hey, we're going to have a police officer, off-duty officer, security there. I'm concerned that a nightclub requiring security may not be a fit for the downtown area and how it's been developed. You've brought up the Lava Lounge. I've been there before. I actually had somebody reach out to me who is certainly not a prude, who said, "Holy cow, we're going to have a hookah lounge?" And I said, "Well, give me your impression of it." She said, "Let's hope it's not the anything like the Lava Lounge." That's obviously her experience. I just don't know that a nightclub on Main Street, we've had a lot of development. I like that. I just don't know that it's compatible with how we've developed so far.
So I'm not really pushing for a nightclub. I know that's what it may sound like, but we're planning on bringing couches in there, and when I said chill, I actually meant more like a relaxed spot. Sure, on Friday and Saturday nights, I would say it would be more popular, more music and stuff like that, which may consist into like a nightclub. That's not entirely our vision. That's not what our plan was or is. It may turn into that on those days, absolutely, but it wouldn't be a 6 days a week thing. It would just be on the busier nights. And really the reason we would like to make something like that is because there is nothing down here for our age gap. I mean, you have the corner pub, and then you have the Hideout, but that's about it. And those are for older people.
Hey now.
At the social.
I'm 41. I'm there with you guys, okay? But yeah, so we are trying to bring something newer. I mean, push come to shove, the thing the Super Bowl proved that is that, my age and younger are the ones that are coming up next. And so we're trying to bring something new to Warrenton to, spice it up a little bit, I guess you could say. But I wouldn't say a nightclub it's not our vision. A nightclub is not our vision. The reason I said security on Friday and Saturdays is to stop anybody that under 21 to come in, because those would be the busier nights no matter what. During the week, it would be like Lava Lounge. They have somebody standing at the door. It would be either me, him, or somebody we hire to check IDs and all that.
And stop fights, because...
And fights and anything like that, if it comes on to that. But really, honestly, the nightclub thing is no different than the Hideout. I've been to the Hideout plenty of times. They get super packed. They have karaoke. There's people dancing, people drinking. I mean, that could be considered a nightclub or a country nightclub, however you want to do it. I know the corner pub's different. They do have their live music, and they do get a little rowdy every now and again. But I'm not sure what your definition of nightclub is. Lava Lounge is. I've been to Lava Lounge a few times. I've never really even seen that in a nightclub. I understand they have a DJ and they get bumping, but I've never seen it really where it's, I guess, wild. Not like the Goat or anything like that.
And I do agree that the Hideout can get packed. It can get loud, but it's not on Main Street.
You're right.
So, and that's where I want to draw the distinction. At least of my concerns, is the compatibility of this idea on Main Street.
I was going to say,
Well, my thing with the...
hold 1 second.
Okay, yeah.
We're going back and forth between two individuals, and I see that your partner has stepped up. Did you want to speak? I can't hear what you're saying, and I wanted to make sure everybody has a chance to speak.
I'm Jesse Denlinger. I guess is your concern a sound issue or?
It's a sound issue. It is a, I think that the potential for rowdiness, fights, is different than what we would experience at Social House 227 or at the Corner Pub or at the Hideout necessarily. No, we're old, we don't fight anymore. But so I guess, yeah, my experience with establishments similar to what you're describing brings me concern. That's just me. We've got other board members who I'll allow to certainly.
As far as sound wise, I mean, it's a brick building. It's been a bar since 1860s, so I'm sure it's been a lot more rowdy than it will ever be again. The Blues Theater next door, they have live music, and I don't think that we're going to be any louder than, you know, what they are doing, because the brick insulates sound pretty well, and we plan on projecting most of, like, if we have a DJ, it's going to be in the front, projecting towards the back of the building, so it's not like coming like through the windows or onto Main Street. It'll be like kind of dampened through the kitchen and through all that stuff through the alley. As far as rowdiness goes, I mean, that's just like a toss-up if where you go if something's going to happen that night, you know, like whether it's the Hideout, the Social House, or wherever. I mean, you just never know what could happen. I do see your concern with maybe a higher potential of it just because of younger people and, oh, the girlfriend, you looked at my girl, or whatever. But that's why we plan on having steps in place for that. So if something like that is seen, you know, that's it, they're gone or kicked out or whatever, and prevented instead of letting it just happen. It'll be prevented.
Thank you.
I appreciate the fact that you acknowledge the potential need for security to be there.
But the other thing I would like to add also is that the sheriff's station and police station is literally, that's stone throws away also.
All right. So, you know, the intent to provide security would suggest a supposition that the business is somewhat more likely to have altercations and things of that nature. Let me finish, please. And as Mr. Cornell was bringing up, you know, Main Street's been a lot of things through my lifetime, and it's been a lot more things going back before I was ever here. There was a time where Main Street was very derelict, very much of a dead zone, if you will. And in the late 80s and early 90s, it finally started to come back, and it has become, to one degree or another, a more thriving district in our community. And having establishments where people can socialize and get together is, I think, something everyone welcomes. There's been a lot of investment by private individuals as well as the city itself, and I think it has served to cultivate an atmosphere that's, you know, a welcoming and attractive environment for people. But I think at the core, the recognition and outright admission that you expect there would be some issues that would require security, at least for me, leaves me in a position that I feel like that's not appropriate for our Main Street environment. It doesn't mean that there's not a place in Warrenton for a business like what you want. But my personal belief is that it is not something that's compatible with the other businesses on Main Street.
If I could throw in, I think I need to clarify the whole security thing. I think you guys are maybe taking it the wrong way. I meant security at the door to check IDs to stop anyone 21 under from coming in. I didn't mean to use it for purposes of breaking up fights or anything like that. Literally only meant for the door. Now, like my partner said, the whole fighting thing, stuff like that, that can't happen anywhere. That can happen at any bar, at any age group. I've seen it done from 40-year-olds to 60-year-olds, to 20-year-olds. But the security thing is really for 2 nights a week, and it's really only 4 to 21 and up, is to make sure no minors come in there. I just wanted to clarify that. I get what you're saying.
And I'll acknowledge that, but also point out that both you and your partner actually brought up the idea of a potential fight. None of us did.
I think that's what he interpreted from you guys. The other thing I would like to say is about Main Street is, yeah, it's thriving, it's all that, but after 5 p.m., Main Street is not thriving. Main Street is dead. Social House is kind of popping. The corner pub kind of does all right. But besides that, all businesses are closed, all businesses. There's no traffic. There's nothing coming down there besides the theater every, once a week for their practicing or if they have a show. We're trying to bring more to Main Street, especially in the later afternoons, later evenings, because there is no business that comes down that way. So that may leave potential for other businesses to open up later and stuff like that also.
The other side of that coin is there are residences 1 block off of Main Street in both directions. I would like to ask city staff, he mentioned that he wanted to operate up until 2 a.m. on Saturday. Is city code, does it allow establishments to be open that late?
I'd have to research that.
I'm not aware of any establishments that are open that late.
Corner Pub's open until 2 a.m. on Fridays and Saturdays. We know for a fact. Unless something's changed in the last 6 months.
I mean, we plan on stopping serving alcohol at 1:30.
Like every normal bar establishment.
Well, and it allows you a half hour to get cleaned up and
Get everybody out and stuff like that. Absolutely. So, that's all. That's all the comments I have.
Anyone else have any questions or comments or observations?
I just do appreciate the foresight. I understand the intent of security. I'm just sitting back here and I'm thinking it from both sides, because we're here thinking about security, if you're forward thinking about there being fights, but I'm also looking at it like you're being safety conscious. So I take it either way, but I do appreciate some of the forward thinking that you're having and trying to prevent issues.
Thank you, Mr. Cullen. Anyone else?
From a procedural point, am I correct? Any motion needs to be in the affirmative, correct?
Yes, motions in the affirmative are considered the appropriate method, and then you vote
Then you
according to
vote
what
yes
your
or no.
intention is, yes.
So,
Questions?
I think we are finished.
I would make a motion.
Commissioner, can you please make the motion based on the conditional use permit and the site plan separately?
Very good. Good point.
So make it, is there any particular order?
The
Do the
CUP is first. Yeah.
So I would make a motion. I'm still going to make it to approve, correct?
I believe you are.
All right. I'd make a motion to approve conditional use CUP 94 as presented and discussed.
Second that.
All right, we have a motion by Mr. Cornell, a second by Mr. Cooper to recommend approval of the conditional use permit 94 for On the Rocks Hookah Lounge, On the Rocks Bar and Hookah Lounge. Any additional comments or final questions? All right, we'll have a roll call vote.
Mr. Cornell?
No.
Ms. Madden?
No.
Mr. Costello?
No.
Mr. Cullum?
Yes.
Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. Dieterman?
No.
All right, that motion then does not carry a recommendation for approval. It fails by a vote of 2 for the motion and 4 against the motion, with 3 absent, and 1 vacancy. It will come before the Board of Aldermen as the final decision on the question rests with the Board of Aldermen. We simply make a recommendation. And so anyone interested in following this further will be able to attend that meeting if they so choose. We do still need to, as a matter of procedure, make a motion or further discuss the site plan request.
Just to validate, since there are two different topics, if the conditional use was recommended to not be passed for the alcohol, should we still discuss the site plan?
Yes.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the site plan for the On the Rocks Bar and Hookah Lounge as presented and discussed.
I'll second that.
All right, we will then recognize a motion from Mr. Cullum with a second by Mr. Cooper to recommend approval of the On the Rocks Bar and Hookah Lounge site plan. Any other questions or comments? All right, we will have roll call vote.
Ms. Madden?
Yes.
Mr. Costello?
No.
Mr. Cullum?
Yes.
Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. Dieterman?
No.
Mr. Cornell?
No.
All right, and like the previous, that motion then fails to achieve recommendation with 2 votes for, 4 votes against, 3 absent, and 1 vacancy. And
Is that
that
the
will.
correct count?
I don't believe that's
I don't
the
believe,
correct
I
count.
think, I believe it was 3-3.
It was-
Oh, I'm sorry, my mistake. You voted yes? I'm sorry, I didn't understand you. My mistake. All right, then that is a motion that is a 3-3, and thank you for the correction
Sure.
on that. So it is a 3 for and 3 against, with 3 absent and 1 vacancy. And again, the Board of Aldermen will have that for their consideration on March 19th. We'll now move on to the Hampton Inn Site Plan SP 169. We've seen the present, or listened to Mr. Corman's presentation after Mr. Burke's description, and we can move on to questions or comments for that item.
So I did have a question. There's a discussion, or part of the proposal is overflow parking on lot, is it 2?
Lot 4.
Lot 4. That's the one
Which
directly to the
south.
south.
Yes.
The abandonment of the easement is still on,
Lot 2. Correct.
It's
Okay.
right here. It goes right through the middle right here.
okay. So, will we be seeing that overflow parking, will that be part of the development?
Yeah, so if hopefully we get an approval tonight and
Right.
approval at city council, we've presented that overflow parking is part of it. So the property is under contract, so unless some crazy contract negotiations would fail, they would have to secure that prior to finalizing their plans. If for some reason that would fail, then we would have to come back with a different plan. Because with the pool and meeting the Hampton Inn standards, we didn't have enough parking on this site. So that's the scenario. So if we can't secure that other lot with the 20-some parking spots that are on there, then we would have to come back through the process.
Right, I just wanted to make sure that the plan wasn't, we own this lot, if we ever need more parking, we can develop it, or we can go ahead and pave it. The plan is, as part of this build, that there will be parking on that site.
Yeah, and lot 4, if you wanted to pull up the arrow, you'll see there's already, most of those parking stalls are already there.
Gotcha.
They're already there. The 7 I got drawn directly south of the property line are not, but would be through this construction process.
Thank you.
Is that, so that's what you were referring to previously by Hampton Inn standards, typically it's 3 to 30 acres, this is 2 acres. This is the variance that gets it on the lot?
So Hampton Inn has certain models of hotels, okay? And so they have a standard, so that way when you go to a Hampton Inn, you know what to expect, okay? Kind of like when you go into McDonald's, you know what to expect, right? Most every McDonald's looks about the same. Same thing with a Hampton Inn on some of their amenities. So they have certain models of buildings and then options, like the pool is not a requirement, but obviously it's a good draw, and so we wanted to fit the pool in there, and so that's the scenario. We could do this building without the pool and fit it all on a lot, but they wanted to do that, and they secured a contract to buy that other lot, so we made it work this way, so we can have a better finished product. You know, we could change the shape and stuff like that, but then you got to go through a harder process through Hampton Inn if you're not taking their standard model, because they want the same thing throughout.
Thank you.
Additional questions or observations?
I'll make a motion to accept site plan 169 as presented.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Detterman and a second by Mr. Cullum to recommend approval of the Hampton Inn site plan. Any other questions or comments? All right, roll call vote.
Mr. Costello?
Yes.
Mr. Cullum?
Yes.
Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. Dieterman?
Yes.
Mr. Cornell?
Yes.
Mrs. Madden?
Yes.
All right. And that motion then carries by a vote of 6-0 with 3 absent and 1 vacancy, and will go to the Board of Aldermen for their March 19th meeting. Moving on, we've got the request to vacate the road and utility easement on Lot 3 of Market Street Center, which is hand in hand with the Hampton Inn project. Any questions or comments on this request?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the easement, Section 21, Township 47, as displayed and discussed.
Second that.
And we have a motion by Mr. Cullum and a second by Mr. Cooper to recommend the request to vacate the road and utility easement on Lot 3 at Market Street Center. Questions or comments? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Cullum?
Yes.
Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. Dieterman?
Yes.
Mr. Cornell?
Yes.
Ms. Madden?
Yep.
Mr. Costello?
Yes. And that will then pass by a vote of 6-0 with 3 absent and 1 vacancy for the Board of Aldermen's consideration on March 19th. And our final item of the agenda is the request to vacate 5 foot of 15-foot utility easement for Lot 110 in Pinckney Manor. Any other comments or questions on this request?
I just wanted to make sure on this one, so this is basically to align the lot with like homes in the area?
So he needs that extra 5 feet to get the Blake model home, which he has built on all the other lots. This is the last lot. So he would need that 5 feet to be able to, with the setbacks, to situate that home on that lot.
Okay, thank you.
And to follow on to that question, so 10-foot easement remains.
Yes.
For that purpose. The adjoining property, which I believe is to the west, I'm assuming that property carries no easement that abuts this easement, am I right? So in other words, the neighbors that own the land...
This one here?
Yes. I'm assuming that that property doesn't have an easement that runs along the property line as this 10-foot would.
No.
All right. So in approving this request, it's going to put city staff in a position of only having 10 foot to operate on.
There's no utilities in that.
There are no utilities?
utilities. No utilities.
Okay, so it's just a side setback.
Correct.
All right, that's a little easier to accept.
There's no city utilities in that either.
Okay, okay.
I think it's down
All right.
below.
Thank you.
I'd make a motion to approve the easement vacation for Lot 110 of Pinckney Manor as presented.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Mr. Cornell, and was that Mr. Detterman?
Yes.
On the second. Any other questions or concerns? All right, roll call vote.
Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. Detterman?
Yes.
Mr. Cornell?
Yes.
Ms. Madden?
Yes.
Mr. Costello?
Yes.
Mr. Cullum?
Yes.
All right, and we have completed that vote, which passes by a count of 6-0 with 3 absent and 1 vacancy. That brings us to the conclusion of the meeting, and we will now turn it over to Mr. Burks for his report.
So we will have a meeting in April. We have several items for the agenda already.
All right.
That's all I have.
Anyone else have anything to add for the good of our commission? I would entertain a motion to go home.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Mr. Detterman, second by Mr. Cooper to adjourn. Any comments? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, we are adjourned.